Okay, you can start.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Hyvää huomenta. Hopefully I pronounced that right, as I just learned that in the past few weeks. So it's very lovely to see all of you in here in this lovely morning. And today I would like to present you about this. Not about a building, not about a person looking closer, but it's something related to transparency. And it's actually very interesting for me to present this topic in here in Finland. Do you have any idea about a very interesting fact on transparency index? Do you get any idea on what rank Finland is standing right now in terms of its transparency? No? It's on the second, which means Finland is, I can say it's the cleanest country in the world. Low rate of corruption, high level of transparency. Compared to my country, it's on 88. High rate of corruption, low level of transparency. Although some Indonesians still say, yeah, at least we got many other countries below us. Nope, it's not going to be that way. The way of thinking should not be in that kind of way. If this is a big problem, when the level of transparency is low, corruption is very high, so this is a big problem, and not only for Indonesia, and also for other developing countries. That's why my curiosity is about, is there any solution offers in the literature about this problem? And this results into this. A literature review I wrote along with my lecturer back in my home university entitled Towards Better Financial Reporting and Accountability, the Role of Auditing in Public Sector Institutions. This is what we are going to talk today. Let's see what we have today. The first one, as this topic evolved in the public sector organizations, let's have a look a little bit on what is actually public sector and what's in it, how it's looked like. It's just a glimpse about it. And I believe not all of you in here are coming from the same background as mine, accounting. So I think it's better for us to have a look a little bit on what is actually financial reporting. What's in there, what's the purpose, who is interested in it. And after that, we're going to see what is actually the problems. Is there any problems between public sector and financial reporting? I mentioned a little bit about transparency, but we're going to have a closer look on what is actually the problems in transparency. If there's a problem, there should be a solution, right? So we're going to see what the literature say, what the theory offers the solution for this problem. And then I will conclude the presentation. But before I go further to public sector and other, if you have any questions in mind during my presentation, please be patient. Keep that in mind or write it down, and because I will give you a chance for 2 or 3 questions at the end of my presentations. Great? Let's begin. Public sector. When the word public comes to your mind, what is it in your mind? Public. People? Society? Citizens? Us? That's public. People. People. So logically thinking, when the word public sector, we're asked what is the definition of public sector. It's a sector for people, right? Logically. And let's see what's the experts say. Well, it's the sum of units comprising government and public enterprises. It's not that far. Yes, government are there to provide goods for us, people, citizens. So this is what public sector, and closer look, this is what public sector looks like. It's actually the largest sector of any economy. There's government there, public corporations, but I'm not going further on the job description for any of it. because it's not my specialty. There's another job, another presenter to present this. So this is just a glimpse for you what is public sector. And now, what is financial reporting? So talking about organizations, talking about company, there is a medium, let's say it's a language or a communication thing that should be there between the organizations and people. So this organization should provide something to people, should communicate to people, because people funds them. This is what financial reporting. It's a report. Everyone needs a report. Every top managers need a report from its divisions. So in financial reporting, all you can see is numbers, because it supplies quantitative information to all of its stakeholders for its economic decision making. And these will be used by all the stakeholders to assess the performance of the organizations. How did they manage the resources? How did they manage everything within the organizations? Now, this is what they provide in financial reporting. There's financial position, providing how much the assets, liabilities, equities, and the profit and loss, and comprehensive income, changes in equity, and how the cash flows, and also notes to financial statements. Sometimes not all information could be provided in numbers, so they need to clarify things sometimes. This is one important note. It is not restricted to those directly engaged in business. Like I said, everyone needs the information. People, we are ordinary civilian, need something that would like to assess the government. How did the government use our money? We pay the taxes. How did they use that? Did they do well with it? So this is not directly engaged in this. Not only investors need financial reporting. Now, what is the problem? So this is just, let's have a good example for it. Simple example. For example, I have 1,000 euros of money. Then I would like to give you, Nico, for example, 1,000 euros of money. I completely trust you, but then you should use that 1,000 euros to make a business, whatever business you like. You see the market, you do research, and you make business. Our agreement is just, let's just share the profit. 40% of profit will be mine, and 60% of the profits will be yours. Okay? But at the end of the year, you should provide me the report. You should provide me the report. How did you do the business and the extra? And then at the end of the year, you give me the report. And it states it, the profits is 500 euros, for example. So 40% of 500 euros will be mine, and 60% of it will be yours. But then I think, well, is it really 500 euros? I mean, the business run really well. They're in the market. Is it really 500 euros? I think it should be 700 something. How should I trust you? Is it a good report? No, is this a reliable information? How could I trust you? I mean, I'm not the one there that looking for you all the time. How should I trust you? First, that is a problem, trust. And also, because I don't trust, I would say this is a poor financial reporting. There are a lot of mistakes in here and errors. Because, like I said, it's when it's run really well in the market. And this is a big problem. Poor financial reporting. This is just a little bit fact from my region, Aceh, that many local government authorities in Aceh were not able to produce financial reports in a timely manner. That's what National Auditing Agency said. And I don't think for the fiscal year 2012, only 7 out of 24 financial reports of the district government were given unqualified opinion by the auditors. If you are wondering what is unqualified opinion is one of the opinions given by an auditor stated that the financial report is good quality, free from mistakes and errors. It's based on all evidence. So only 7 out of 24. And if you're asking how about 2014, it increases. If I don't know the exact numbers, but from what I heard, it's not 7 anymore. It increases, but it's still the problem. There are still the financial reports of city government still not given as unqualified opinion. This is a problem. That's why we're going to find a solution. What is the solution? So the first problem is trust. The trust about this is not a good financial statement. So the solution is what offered by the literature is in the agency theory, what is called as agency theory. So let's back to the example that I give you 1,000 euros, you give me the profits, 40% of the profits, and then you get me the reports. But then there's a trust issues in there. That's why the agency theory said there should be an independent party standing to make a bridge between me and you, me as a principals and you as an agents. So there should be one independent party to make a bridge between us, because everyone has our own interests, right? So this is the solution, audit. The independent party called as an auditor, performing audit. Why is it audit? Because auditing is seen as a cornerstone of good public sector governance. We'll elaborate that later about the governance. And let's have a look first on what is actually audit. Like I said, audit is performed by an independent party, not related to the management, not related to the principals who fund the management. So they will perform 3 kinds of process. First one, collect. So they will collect the evidence from the company. All the transactions have the invoice and stuff like that. And then they will evaluate. Is there a match between the evidence and the reports and the numbers provided? And then they will communicate the results to everybody who is interested in the information. This is what I call audit. In public sector, generally there are 2 kinds of audits, but actually there are many types of audits. There's forensic audits and stuff, but it's a more detailed audit. But generally there are 2 kinds of audit, external one and internal one. An external audit is performed by an external accounting firm. So the firm should not have any relationship with the company, with the management, with anybody. The firm stands, the auditor stands in very independent side. And then the result will be used for external parties, investors, stakeholders, and others. For internal, it's undertaken by an organization itself. So they hire a professional accounting, a professional auditor, but if there is any relationship between management and auditor, it's not much an issue for that, because the result is for internal parties. They usually perform that on a regular basis to ensure that everything in management, everything in the company is run really well, from the division, in each division to the top management. So they assure that. And this is the role of auditing and public sector organization, what the theory said. The theory said that it could improve the public sector governance. In terms of governance, it means that the goals are established and accomplished. So if the audits in private sector is making sure that the reports are prepared in accordance to the standards, established criteria and free from mistakes and errors. In public sector organization, auditor even could go further to see whether the goals are accomplished or not. So that's why it could improve the public sector in terms of its governance. And also to assure the entity's credibility. And also to assure appropriate behaviors of officials. This is very important. The audit can assure the appropriate behavior of officials. Why? Because they give pressure. They give a pressure to everyone in the organization that everyone should do the right thing, not taking any bribes from anybody. So imagine there is somebody looking out for us for everything that we're doing. So we got pressure for that. That's why an audit could help an organization to promote their credibility, equity, and appropriate behavior of officials. At the end of the day, the public will have trust with the government. I don't think in Finland there is a demonstration. Is there ever any demonstration here? People going out on the street and then screaming to the government, no, no, you should not be doing that. Is there anything happening in Finland? No? I don't think that's ever happened. But a lot in Indonesia. That's why Indonesians have a little trust to the government. This is why. They don't provide a good report for its citizens. And if we're talking about theory, there's a problem about the transparency, accountability from the government, and theory offers audit for the solution. How about in practice? We all realize that there is a big gap between theory and practice. It's so big. In practice, audit could help. But in theory, it's like this. Me as management, and there is somebody in here as an auditor. So at the end of the year, I give the auditor, this is the report, please revise and please see, is there any mistake in it? And then give an opinion. And then the auditor just came to me and said, I'm sorry, I couldn't give you an unqualified opinion, but because there is small mistakes in these numbers. But it is material, so I couldn't give you unqualified opinion. I should go with qualified opinion. And then as management I said, well, okay, proceed with qualified opinion, but if you give unqualified opinion, I will give you this number of money. And then the auditor said, no, I'm working in accordance with the code of ethics. And then I said, okay, good, you're working in the code of ethics. But you just proceed with qualified opinions, but don't expect that I will hire you next year. I will not hire you next year. So the auditor comes like this. This is my first client. This is my first client. This is my business. And if I ruin this company will talk to another company that my audit is not reliable. My business is done. How should I feed my wives and kids? That's the dilemma that auditor has. That is what happened in practice. And then the auditor said, okay, yeah, it's just a small number, I will advise you, and you got unqualified opinion. That's what happened in practice. Not like a theory. Theory said all of the things we are academicians learn these problems and this solution. But if we look at the real world, in such a very complicated world of business, it's a very big gap between the theory and practice. To conclude, in theory, auditing is a key for good public governance. But in practical, hard it is to drill the oil deep in the oceans, there is always a diamond to help to crack it. No matter how strict the rule is, there is a brain that makes people smarter to crack it. That's why good rules need committed people. That's all, my presentation. If any of you got any questions, please.
So what do you actually think is the solution?
The solution?
Yeah.
Good rules need committed people. That is very interesting questions, actually, because I myself also wondering, what is actually the solution? I mean, the theory say this, and in practice, everyone never really obey the rules, right? So this is what we need. We need to be committed to ourselves that this is not a good thing. Everyone should change their way of thinking. It's not about their interests. Yes, everybody has his own interests. But how about others? People, auditor in here is, I would say, is playing a very crucial role. And there are people who trust the opinion of the auditor. These people are paying the taxes. They sacrifice their money to get something from the government. So this is the job of an auditor, to perform it in a commitment with the code of ethics. This is why I said, although there is a big gap between theory and practice, but this is not impossible for us because all of us have mind, all of us have heart. All we need to do is just have a commitment for all the rules that has been established. Thank you for the questions. Any other questions?
Well, how would you change the world to get people to be committed?
That's interesting. That is very interesting. That is very hard questions, actually. If you ask me what is my solution for this, I don't have a solution. I don't have a solution that how to change everybody in the whole world. It's a big world. It's a big population. That's why I said everyone has heart, everyone has mind. They should be thinking in the right way. They should be having a sense of humanity. So not by lying people to just get money. So the solution is coming from ourselves now. Because the theory offers a solution, but somehow it doesn't help sometimes. Okay. I think there's no more